This is Nicole Whitlock with eCom Sellers Academy, and we are going to get started with Retail Arbitrage Part 2. So Renata Darden and I are actually teaching this class. She will be joining us shortly. We want to welcome you to Retail Arbitrage Part 2. There is a lot of stuff to cover. We're probably going to talk a little fast. I apologize for that. But let's go ahead and get started, and she'll probably be joining us in just a second. Okay, so the first workshop we covered was Retail Arbitrage Part 1. So if you purchase the Retail Arbitrage Training Workshop, we will actually come back and we will give you the recording to Retail Arbitrage Workshop number 1. This is Part 2. So I am Nicole Whitlock. I am the founder and creator of eCom Sellers LLC. Also the creator of eCom Sellers Academy, Summit, Q4 Summit, Mastery, all of those, eCom Men and eCom Mondays. And I've been selling since 2014. Actually, I've been selling a little bit longer than that because I used to host garage sales. And I have been selling offline since 2018. I'm a single mom with 2 special needs kids. And I use retail arbitrage and e-commerce to help cover my expenses. So my business partner, who is Renata Darden, who is my partner in crime today for today's training, she has been selling. She's the co-founder of eCom Sellers LLC, and she's been selling since 1999, ever since she was a youngster. She also has 2 sons, and they are her why. They're the reason why she does what she does. And she absolutely 100% uses e-commerce to pay all of her bills. Okay. So from last week, what we covered was what is retail arbitrage. We went over the Amazon seller app. We explained how to read the app and how to review products on the app, and also on Amazon.com and in Seller Central. So we actually covered all 3, not just the app, but the seller app, but also your Seller Central and your back office. And then we also talked about how you can use Amazon.com to also do research for your retail arbitrage. And then we discussed some early retail arbitrage strategies. Okay. So we're going to continue with some of those strategies, and I'm going to cover this until Ms. Renata gets here. But for retail arbitrage, we do want you to be very strategic in what you order, what you place. And she may come back and recover this, but you want to work on placing your orders, like whatever you're going to buy, plan out your driving route for sure. Figure out what stores you're going to go to before you get on the road. And that is a big deal. Also figure out, I always take extra phones. I have 4 phones on me. I make sure I have on comfortable shoes. I know how long I'm going to be out. So bring multiple phones, or bring a charger, whatever you need if you're going to be outsourcing for a period of time. And if you're planning on using any cashback coupons, gift cards, any of that stuff, bring those with you. And if you need to, as you're going through the sourcing process of doing retail arbitrage, and again, this focuses on retail arbitrage, then you may need to, tweak your tweak your sourcing schedule. So let's say from time to time, I try to make sure I have the same sourcing schedule. If I'm going out on Mondays and Wednesdays or Tuesdays and Thursdays, I pretty much build a real schedule. But if for some reason something happens, you need to make adjustments because maybe a store is having a better sale. A perfect example would be, I know that certain foods and or vitamins go on sale on Wednesdays in some stores, and the sales are from Wednesday to Wednesday or Wednesday to Tuesday. So I might say, okay, I'm going to do all my retail arbitrage on Mondays and Wednesdays, or I'm going to do it on Tuesdays and Thursdays, but I may make a concerted effort to go in an extra day on Wednesday if I know that they're having an amazing sale. Like Sprouts is a great example of that. They have when they have the additional 25% off of vitamins. And then you're going to spend whatever time you've allotted. We talked about building a real schedule last week. So whatever time you've allotted, make sure that you use that time for your sourcing. Make sure you source multiple locations. Don't just stick with one location. Don't just, if you need to, if there's a hot selling item, what I always do is I always ask someone at that store if I cleared the shelf on that particular item, ask them to call other stores, or if you have the app like the Walmart app, you can use that Walmart app to find out what other stores around you have that same item. So you can go and source from there as well, especially when you're sourcing replenishables. And then make sure that you do start with your stores in your area so that you minimize your driving and your gas so that it makes it easy. And if you feel comfortable, shop late at night, because sometimes when the shelves are empty and they're putting stuff on the shelves, then you can sometimes just grab the entire box, which is always great. But it's another opportunity to clear the shelf on anything that they just put out before anybody else gets their hands on it. And then in addition to that, so when scanning, there's a couple of things to be aware of. Always check the subcategories for the item that you're scanning for. Again, we went through what it looks like to scan something, what you're looking for. We talked about some of the categories and how to figure out how many sellers are on there. But check the subcategories because it may have an amazing rank. When you first pull up an item, it's more than likely 99% of the time, it's going to pull up the item in the primary category and not the secondary. So if it's pulling it up in the primary category, then you may not be able to see it in the secondary categories. So you'll have to search for it. And if you have the Amazon.com app, you can actually see it in some of the other categories and see what the sales rank is. So that's the reason why I always recommend having both the seller and the buying app. And don't log into your buying app with your Amazon seller login. We talked about that last week. Check reviews for the items. You know, I've mentioned that I only sell things that have at least 4 stars or better, 4 to 5 stars. I don't sell things that have 3 stars. Most of the time. Now, there are a couple occasions where I will, if I go and look at the reviews, and we talked about that last week, if it makes sense, and I might sell that item, and then check for competition. See if there are other things that are similar. See what your competition, how many they have in stock, and then if you're going to sell this particular item, so see how many sellers are on it, and see how many they have in stock. Some of them you'll be able to see that. Some of them you may not. You can always put in like 99. If you're listing this particular item, you can put in 99 to see how many, it'll tell you how many they have if you're on the buyer app. But also in your store, if you're sourcing, see how many they have available. Again, use that strategy of contacting the other stores so that way you can ask them to hold it for you. Maybe you can order it online and just do a store pickup. So it'll save you some time when sourcing. And then we always recommend the reverse sourcing. So reverse sourcing, we're going to get into that a little bit more, but you can use a reverse sourcing strategy. What are people already buying? Use that as one of your sources, the methods for how you're going to source inventory. So when you think about what are people already buying, what's already important to them, what's already moving, again, reverse sourcing, you can go ahead and buy the things that people are already buying, if they're already spending money on it. So an example would be like mashed potatoes, like instant mashed potatoes, believe it or not. They sell like crazy. They sell like crazy on Amazon. They sell like crazy on Walmart, and people are buying them like crazy. So you can get them with a great price, with a coupon. Go ahead and do that. But when you go and look up, if you do some research before you go out to the store, you'll be able to see that the instant mashed potatoes are already moving. They're already selling. Replenishables are always, 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 always a great way to make money, especially right now. Things that you have to buy every single month or week or every 2 weeks, other people have to buy. So when you're putting things in your cart, be thinking about or glancing over at other people's cart. If you're going to go do your regular shopping, see what everybody else is putting in their cart, because those things are already moving for sure. And it's not just in the grocery aisle, it's some of the other stuff, in addition to like your basics, toilet paper and paper towels. I'm talking about other stuff that people might be buying. They might be buying toothpaste, or they might be buying a toothbrush, once every 3 months, or they may be buying deodorant or things like that, things that they need anyway that they're going to run out of if they're at home, because we're in the middle of COVID-19. And there is no guarantee that you will walk out with the shopping cart full of products, but you will have products that you can sell, the products that are moving, and the products that you can make money on and you can get a profit on. So I'm going to talk briefly about restricted categories and restricted brands. So restricted categories and brands, Right now, you know, Amazon, we're using Amazon as our primary for this discussion for retail arbitrage. You can do retail arbitrage on eBay as well. You can list things on eBay to sell. I've always told the story of how I used to sell cereal all the time on eBay. But in any case, there's some restricted categories that are on Amazon's platform. And there's not a lot of them. The majority of the categories are wide open. Now, there might be subcategories or secondary categories where they have restrictions, or they might have restrictions on specific brands. But the majority of the categories that are on Amazon.com are wide open. And we'll send you this hyperlink so you can take a look at that. So the restricted ones are automotives and power sports, collectible coins, music, sports collectibles, videos, DVDs, and watches. Those are the restricted. Now, some of the secondary categories in health and personal care, or some of the other ones, some of those secondary categories do have some either restrictions on the secondary category, or they may have a restriction on a brand. And right now, of course, there's going to be some restrictions and limitations on essential items. So be mindful of all of that. Be mindful of the restricted, those restricted items. We did have the eBay, but I didn't put the hyperlink there, so we'll make sure we email that to you, because eBay does have some restrictions. They don't have as many as Amazon, but they do have some restrictions and guidelines. So we want to encourage you to request approval as you go through the scanning process. Again, we walk through scanning, so you'll be able to go through that video again and see what we talked about with scanning. We provided some screenshots. And so when you scan something, you will know immediately whether or not you can or cannot sell that item. And if you cannot sell it, if you're using your seller app, if you're out and about, you can click on request approval and see what happens. Now, the more consistent you are in your selling and shipping and responding to customers and have a great seller metrics, then the higher the probability that Amazon will start the process of auto approving you for specific subcategories and or specific brands. So take advantage of that when the opportunity presents itself. Don't just go to the store and scan and go, oh, I can't sell it, so I just forget about it. No, scan and request approval. All they can do is say no. And if they say no, then put it on your calendar to come back in 3 to 6 months and reapply for that specific brand or category. In addition to that, you can submit a request that says, you can submit a request to remove that original request. So when they ask you to upload the receipt for something, or the invoice or the order or whatever it happens to be, you can upload a request that says remove my request for this particular category. And that's another way to get that cleared out, so you're going to reapply again after you have more consistency. But consistency is one of the keys to getting auto approved. And it's one of the easiest ways to, again, expand what you're doing. So the more consistent you are, the easier it is, it's going to be for you to get approved. So this is a sales rank chart. And the thing that you need to know is that lower the sales rank, the faster the item is selling. So the lower, the better. And you'll see that the top 1% of the sales rank for some of these categories, you know, it fluctuates from looking at appliances at 5,740 to going to pet supplies at 45,000. Like, that's a huge range. But what it is you're taking the top 1% of that sales, the total items in that category, and you're looking at the top 1%. The lower the rank, the faster the item is selling. So if you're going to sell some things that are in pet supplies, again, anything that's below 45,000, there's a high probability that those items are going to sell within 3 to 6 months or less. There's a lot of things that are moving where it's at a rank of 20,000 and it sells same day. Because again, there are more buyers right now online on Amazon than there have been historically. So because there are more buyers, things are moving so much faster. Things are moving so much quicker. So keeping that in mind as you move along, you know, as you're going through the process of scanning, take your sales rank chart with you if you're going out into the stores. Make sure you use that as a reference or a guide so that you can see, oh, okay, in toys, I really need to be below 85,000. Now, I personally like to stay in toys. I personally like to stay below 50,000, but that's just me. And the other thing that I want you to know is that for some of these categories, the top 1% of the sales rank is slightly skewed compared to historical data. And the reason that that is because of the fact that because of COVID-19, things that didn't used to sell like crazy or only sold during certain times of the year are now selling like crazy. So an example would be, okay, groceries, the numbers are going to be totally skewed in grocery, like completely skewed. And that's fine. It's okay. We know that people are always going to buy food. So I'm not going to worry so much about grocery. But if I look at a category where school supplies might be sitting in, so the category for that, the sales rank for that might be a little off because when COVID-19 hit in March, there was a bunch of kids that had their backpacks and their school supplies in their locker at their desk at school. So parents were instructed that you're now going to be teaching your child from home, and everything that that child had available to them is at the school. They don't have it at home. So when people started ordering school supplies, so school supplies and office supplies and things like that, people had to start working from home. So office supplies, all of those things, the numbers are skewed right now because of the fact that this is a category that doesn't normally sell during that time of the year. Office supplies and school supplies, they spike when it's time for back to school. They don't normally spike in March. And so that was an anomaly. And again, what it's going to look like, what it's going to level off at in the next 12 months, we'll see. 12 to 18 months, we'll see. But again, that's an example of the numbers being slightly off. Okay, so we encourage you to stay in the top 1% of the sales rank. That's where we recommend that you stay. And again, we have the sales rank chart that we'll share with you. And 1% is going to help you get your return on your investment much quicker. And it'll help you to make money much faster. So I don't know what your situation is, but if you stay in the top 1% of the sales rank, if possible, the 3% is okay, 2% is okay, but if you can stay in the 1%, there's a high probability that your items are going to sell within 90 days to 6 months or less if you stay in that sales rank. That doesn't mean that the price on it might not drop, and so you may have to wait out longer to get it for the price that you want. But again, the items in that category may be moving quickly, and your items should rotate exactly the same as everyone else's to some extent, depending on how long you've been selling, what your seller matrix is, and all of that other stuff. Okay? The other thing is we talked about reverse sourcing earlier. One of the best ways and easiest ways to find some of the items that are already moving, already selling is just to do a Google search on Amazon bestsellers or Amazon top 100. If you do Amazon top 100, you're going to find everything that's already moving on Amazon. And so if it's moving on Amazon, because Amazon still is king, no matter what, Amazon's still king. Walmart is giving them a run for their money right now, and so is eBay, and that's good. But Amazon is still king. So if it's moving in the Amazon top 100 or it's in the Amazon top 100 category or subcategory, it's an item that is being sold. So you could use that strategy if you're a seller on eBay. You can use that strategy to just go over and look on the Amazon top 100 and see what it's doing, what the sales rank is for it, and see if it's in the top 100. If it is, that's awesome. You can also go over to eBay, and when you go to eBay, you can search for that product item, and you can look under sold. So it's a setting. You want to install the app on your phone. We didn't discuss the app last week, but install the eBay app so that you can go through the app and check the sold. Once you check the sold, that's another great way to see this item is moving not only on Amazon, but it's also moving on eBay. You can also do a search on Amazon movers and shakers, and you can do a search on Walmart top selling, and you can also look at watch count. Watch count is used a lot for eBay. And then just do a search on Google Trends. What are people talking about? What are people looking for? So we know that there was a lot of activity around protests, so you have to make signs. People were needing magic markers. Magic markers were selling like crazy. Tape, things like that. If people need to be able to do whatever it is that they plan on doing. There was a bunch of poster board and stuff sold for graduations as well. So when people were doing the drive-by graduations, again, Google searches for all of the drive-by birthday parties, drive-by congratulations, you graduated from college or high school, all of that, people are making signs. So a lot of the poster board and all of that stuff was stuff that was moving and selling like crazy. So pay attention to Google Trends. All you have to do is just do a search, do trends.google.com, and you can go through that and see what is moving. They'll have news and they'll have other stuff, but you can kind of see what's going to be the hot trend. Another idea is to use some of that to come up with product sourcing ideas. So back in the day when we first started selling, one of the things we use is like the award shows, like the music award shows and the movie award shows and the TV um, um, late night, whatever award shows. And if somebody wore a specific thing, whether it was a specific clutch, they had a clutch in their hand, or they had specific earrings, or a headband, or sunglasses. Again, those are trendy items, and so those were items that we knew people were going to be looking for the next day, and we would source those items and quickly get them listed and reference that particular event to get some traffic and some sales. We did that a lot on eBay, not so much on Amazon, but again, if you can source that item, you're approved to sell it, then definitely go for it. So I think Miss Renata is with me right now. Are you there, Miss Renata?
I am here.
All right. So what are some of the items that you can sell over the next 3 to 6 months? There's a lot that you can sell. And you can take this screenshot right now so that you have some ideas. But again, things that people need for COVID-19, right? There's a limitation on some masks unless you're making your own. Definitely gloves, even if it's cleaning gloves, even oven gloves. I don't know why, but they're restricting that. So what are other things that people are looking for that may be a complement to that? Think about that. Cleaning supplies, not just cleaning supplies. Some people are looking for organic or natural or alternative cleaning supplies. And so if you can't sell the regular cleaning supplies, what are the alternative things? What are the things that they're putting on YouTube to say you can make your own cleaning supplies? What are those items? What are the tools that they need? Like selling empty water spray bottles, selling empty bottles. You could sell them in a multi-pack or whatever, because again, people are making their own stuff. Um, Storage bags, things like that. So be creative in your thinking on what things people might be buying. Health and beauty items. Again, I mentioned earlier, I mean, everybody's going to have to buy deodorant. We hope. I mean, we hope that they're buying deodorant. We do hope that. Toothpaste, toothbrushes. Again, these are smaller things. If you want to go after the big stuff like mouthwash, that is your choice. Just keep in mind that when you source for the big stuff, the heavy stuff, it's going to cost you more in shipping. And so we don't always recommend that. And again, we're talking about from a seller fulfilled standpoint, not from a merchant fulfilled standpoint, which is what we covered in workshop number 1. Food and replenishable items, don't overlook those opportunities as well, because there's a lot of replenishable and food items. So another great example is you may not be gluten-free, but somebody somewhere else who has a compromised immune system is, and they need to receive those gluten-free items. And so when you go into the store, believe it or not, and a lot of stores, the big stores, when you go and look for the gluten-free items, sometimes you're going to find that a lot of the gluten-free items are on clearance. And the reason is that sometimes people don't know where to find them in the store, or there's not a lot of buyers. But we know that there's a whole community, which is a niche. There's a whole community of people that are gluten-free. And so finding those gluten-free items, I bought some Blue Diamond cinnamon crackers, I want to say, and they were on clearance for like 50 cents or some ridiculous number like that. And they were selling on Amazon for like, I don't know, $15.99 or something like that. So to get them for 50 cents because they were on clearance, to turn around and sell them for $15.99, I mean, that's an amazing profit. And that's not necessarily price gouging. That was just the price that they happened to be. I could have sold them for less than that, but the point is they were selling and they were available to me for 50 cents. So think about things that are in niches, like people who cannot go out. That can be a person that's diabetic, they have a compromised immune system, so they need sugar-free items. So you might be sourcing for regular grocery stuff. Think about the specialty stuff that other people may not be able to go out and get. And then also think about the other ethnicities. So, Indian food, Asian food, Mexican food. Just think about all of those specialty foods that people might be wanting to, buy, but they're not finding a lot of options. And that's one of the things on Amazon right now. A lot of the food options, they're just selling out like crazy. So they need more people listing on Amazon to be able to continue to keep that traffic and sustain that traffic on Amazon. Renata, did you want to cover a couple of these?
You go right ahead. When you mentioned the food items, I just wanted to say that there are a lot of things that are out there, and as you see them getting marked down, as Nicole just said, keep in mind not just the different communities and different ethnicities or whatever, but just keep in mind that there are people that live in places that may be more remote where they can't necessarily get to a grocery store on a regular basis. And so you are actually serving a need when you're putting these items up. People need to get to their groceries. And if they don't have a Walmart right down the street, there's a lot of more rural areas that don't have a Walmart right down the street. And so they depend on us third-party sellers to have the items that they need in stock and available for them to view online.
Absolutely.
And the health and beauty and food is just, one example, but those are very, very important in this period that we're in right now.
Yep. And especially for seniors as well. Like there's a lot of seniors that can't get out and they have learned how to get online. There's a boatload of seniors that now have learned how to get online, and it's fun and it's funny. And for some of those videos that we've all seen, but in any case, this is great for them because now they don't have to go out. They don't have to feel compelled to go out and shop if they don't feel comfortable doing so. And there's other ways in which they can get their food, but again, they can place their orders online and have it shipped to them. So there's so many things that we could source for right now. Again, this is an extensive list. Learning activities, things that are going to help kids not regress over the summer, that's going to keep them engaged over the summer, things that are going to allow them to be outside and do outside activities, whether it's tennis, whether it's golf, whether it's, and I'm talking about just something you can put in your backyard, like the play golf kits and the tennis and badminton and all that other stuff, water, anything that has to do with water. Just get the kids outside, chalk, all of those things, and then learning activities for them to do, because again, we don't know what school is going to look like next year. Gardening and lawn, some people are growing their own gardens, so they need all of the supply stuff. So again, I'm not talking about, if you want to source for the big stuff, meaning the actual, like the pots and the planting, the plants and the big stands and all of that stuff, you can source for that if you want to. But again, depending on the size, the bigger it is, the heavier it is, the more it's going to cost in store and weight and shipping. So I always try to go for what are the accessories that people are going to need. So they need the little hand rake thing. They need the little hand shovel. They need the little knee pads. They need the little gloves. Those are all small things. And all four of those that I just mentioned go great in a bundle because again, you're traditionally, if you're doing any level of gardening or if you're trying to plant your own vegetable garden for the first time, then again, these are things you're going to need. Fall activities, anything that you're going to want to do outside in the fall. Again, it's all right now. The theme is outdoor entertaining, outdoor activities, because people have been stuck in their house. They have cabin fever. A great example of that is Walmart is converting their parking lot into drive-ins. I think they said 300 parking lots across the US into drive-ins the rest of the summer. So I don't know, that's going to be interesting when that happens. But you have to Google it, it's in the news. But the point is, people want to get outside. So what are the things that you need if you're going to go to the drive-in? The other things are air purifiers and filters. These are things that people need. So you don't have to be talking about a big air purifier and filter. You could be talking about something small. It could be those personal handheld that you put around your neck. It could be something that's a desktop thing, and you could be selling those air purifiers or you could be selling the filters, especially the ones with the UV light, because that's going to kill the germs. So think about how you can serve that community. We already talked about, spray bottles and cleaning supplies, back to school, back to school, back to school. Regardless of whether the kids are actually going to school or going to be homeschooled, you're going to need stuff. You're going to need paper, you're going to need pens, you're going to need whatever. And if your kid brought home their backpack, or they didn't bring it home, the school said you can come get your stuff at the end of last school year. And so if you still have a boatload of supplies, then you maybe are only going to buy 50% of what you would have bought in this time, because you don't know if your child's going to be in a hybrid situation where they're going to school part of the day or 2 days a week and then staying home and learning for 2 days a week. Like, you don't know what it's going to look like. So each school district, they're going to make their decisions based off of what the Board of Education has said. So school supplies are still going to sell. You may not sell as many back to school clothes because the kids are going to grow. So you still have to sell some clothes, but there might not be as many back to school clothes because the kids are not necessarily always leaving the house. Possibly, again, we'll see what it looks like. But I would get into the back to school game right now and anything that's going to help them prep. So kids are going to have to potentially have masks. Kids are going to need hand sanitizer. Kids are going to need some of these things to keep themselves safe, things that they can wipe down the outside of their backpack or their desk or whatever. So be thinking about those products you can sell. Anything that's baby or pet will always sell. Exercise and fitness, again, light fitness equipment. We're not talking about the heavy stuff. Think about the elastic stretch bands, the gloves, the knee pads, that kind of stuff, the hand grippers. What are some of the things that people can use to stay in shape? And then don't overlook some of the things that come with exercise videos. Maybe that's a bundle that you can put together where you include the bands and all the other stuff and the exercise video. Then some of the things are not going to change over the 3 months. So there's still hurricane season is still coming. I mean, you can't do anything about that. It's still going to happen. It doesn't care about COVID-19. And Labor Day is still coming. There's going to still be, I think, President's Day is in February. So is a Veterans Day is in November, and then you have Thanksgiving, you have Halloween, Thanksgiving, and Christmas. So again, all of those holidays are still going to arrive. What are the things that you could be selling, sourcing, or providing? And then we talked about there's a boatload of activities here. The things I want to hone in on, people are cooking. They're cooking a lot more. They're still eating out some, but they're cooking a lot. They want to do outdoor entertaining, and they want to get away. So some people are doing camping and or Airbnb kind of situations or glamping. So what are the products? What are the things that people need if they're going to go on a quasi or semi vacation? What are those things? Then electronics, again, kids are going to be going back to school or maybe not, we don't know, but laptops, iPads, Chromebooks. So maybe you don't sell those things. Maybe you sell the accessories. Maybe you sell the cords. Maybe you sell the protector around it. Maybe you sell some of those things. So if you don't want to sell the electronics, sell some of the stuff that goes with the electronics. And then home improvement, people have been working in their houses like crazy people. So again, don't overlook that opportunity to sell some home improvement. Okay.
Nicole, just go back for 1 second. The thing I want people to really hone in on is that she mentioned it a few times, but this is a very long list. So for people that like to say, I can't find anything to source, Nicole's just giving you a great starter list of things that you can go out and look for, find, source, reverse source, all of those things. As you're looking through all the things that you're doing, all of your own activities, just bear in mind that there's a whole community of people out there that are dealing with the same thing, whether you're homeschooling or working from home. There's a whole lot of people that are going through the same thing. So this is a great list. Print it off, keep it, put it up over your desk so that you have an idea, that just the idea that there are always things you can be sourcing for. This is giving you an outlook for the next 3 to 6 months, but you need to always be looking ahead when you're doing this. The other thing is when you go into the stores, they're giving you the ideas right there. When you walk in and you see things on the end caps, when you see that the merchandise is being clearanced out for new merchandise, it'll give you an idea of what it is that you need to start selling. The companies are paying a lot of money to have items sit on those end caps and down that center aisle. So if they're paying it, it's because they know from their own research and their own statistics and their own past sales history that these items are going to sell. Okay, my bit.
Well, I did. You brought up something that I completely forgot to mention, and that is what is actually happening in the stores right now. So this is a gold mine. This window right now is actually a gold mine for sellers. And the reason I say that is because you have to think what has happened over the last 3 months. There were parts of the store that was being neglected, completely neglected, and or only got a very little foot traffic because of COVID-19. So because it only got very little foot traffic, then those other areas of the store where they were expecting some of this stuff should have sold already, some of the stuff should be gone, some of the stuff we should have already run out of, and this space would be open because we have another shipment of other stuff coming in. Remember, retail stores like Walmart and Target, they buy their inventory 18 months in advance. So they already knew what they were buying to put on the shelves January of 2021. They've already ordered it. They've already paid for it, or they've already placed their orders and it's on its way. So they don't have to do a bunch of extra work. They just have to make sure that they're staying ahead of that 15 to 18 month curve. So when that inventory came in and there's stuff still sitting on the shelf and it should have been gone because it traditionally would have been, they're like, okay, now what do we do? So what they're doing is they're putting a boatload of stuff on clearance. I mean, a lot of stuff that would traditionally not be on clearance. Like Summer clothes are on clearance right now because summer clothes should have sold out, and they got all of these back to school clothes coming in, and they got nowhere to put them. So they're putting summer on clearance right now because they would have traditionally already sold already. So I want you to think about that. That means that you could buy a boatload of summer clothes right now and sell them next year because they have to mark them down to get them out of the way, to get people to even come to those other parts of the store so that they could put the back to school out that they had already ordered, not because they want to put back to school out because nobody knows what's going to happen with back to school, but because they had already ordered it and it had arrived on time. So be thinking about that. What does that mean for every single store? When you think about Home Depot, what would they have already ordered around this time of the year and should have already been cleared out, and it was already coming, something else was coming in that spot? And that's normally the seasonal area of the store, but it's not always the seasonal area of the store. There's a reason why you see swimsuits in the Walmart and Target in February. Most people don't pay attention to that. There's a reason why they're out that early. So back to school is already in the stores. It's already there. They just don't have anywhere to put it. They got to clearance summer. They got to clearance summer shoes. They got to clearance all that stuff, summer towels. So this is an opportunity. If you have the capital that you can invest and you have the space in which to store it, this is your opportunity to make a boatload of money on summer stuff because fall has already been delivered to the store. And I can tell you, in September, the Christmas trees were already in the store on probably August the 15th. Christmas trees were already in the store. They're just waiting for the lawn and garden stuff to move out so that they can set up the Christmas trees right after Halloween. Again, when you spend time in the store, these are things you learn automatically. So this is a gold mine for retail arbitrageurs that are willing to go out or that have a strategy in which to acquire that inventory. So what is the action plan? This is your action step number 1 for the day. We talked about a lot of stuff. I covered a lot of stuff. Sorry about that. Didn't mean to do that. So one of the things that I mentioned, or we mentioned, me and Renata mentioned last week, is that this is you're going to be spending money all the time acquiring inventory because it's inventory in, inventory out, but it does require you to make it an investment every single week. So you were supposed to last week put together your budget or your strategy, your financial investment strategy plan. If you did not put it together, you need to put it together today or now. How much money do you have available to spend every single week without fail consistently in your business? You are priming the pump. So if you're getting started today for the first time, you just need to keep investing and keep investing. And I would say you need to be prepared to invest for 3 to 6 months without pulling any money out. That is what I recommend, but you don't have to do that. You don't have to, but I recommend it because again, it's going to allow you to scale faster if you do it that way. The other thing is we recommend that you source everywhere. We're not going to tell you to source at any one specific store. We're going to tell you to go everywhere. And we're going to recommend that you reverse source. So you need to do that research. Go look at the Amazon Top 100. Go look at the Amazon bestsellers. Go look at the news ads for Walmart and for Target and for the grocery stores. What's in the news ads? There's a reason why it's in the ad. It's because it's a hot seller. So therefore, can you sell that item? Can you source it? And if you can, you could place the order and go pick it up. That's another strategy you can employ. So sign up for the store newsletters, sign up for their store coupons, all of that other stuff. If you don't have any capital, we talked about this last week, but find things around your house to get started if you don't have any capital. That's another way to source to get started, and then take 100% of that money and reinvest it, 100% of it into inventory. So if you're selling stuff that's been sitting in your attic, your garage, in your closet, still got tags on it, maybe under your bed, maybe it's underneath the exercise bike that you haven't even got on, then again, list it. You can list it on other platforms. You can list it on Mercari, Poshmark, list it on Facebook Marketplace, Facebook Garage Sales. Craigslist is still available. It got weird, but it's still available. So list it on another platform. If you make things, list it on Etsy. But get the stuff listed so you can start to get some money coming in, some recurring income coming in. Is there anything you want to add to that, Renata?
Just your recommendation at the very top is source everywhere. And to Nicole's point she just made, list everywhere. If you've got items and you put them up in multiple places, you have more chances for your items to sell. So source everywhere, but also remember when you get those items in and you're trying to figure out how to get them organized and where to put them, that source everywhere is only part of it. Listing everywhere is how you're going to get them out of your door.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, so next, so sourcing in the middle of COVID-19. We know that this is applicable. We don't know how long, I don't know. But we wanted to at least address it. So you have people that don't want to do retail arbitrage, and that's okay. If you don't want to, you don't have to. There's other ways. We have the online arbitrage that's happening next week, and you can attend that instead, and maybe you want to implement some of those strategies. But if you're going to go out, we just first want to say we recommend following the CDC guidelines. With that being said, there's some ways in which you can do retail arbitrage and minimize your exposure. So you could use Instacart, TaskRabbit. There's even Thumbtack. I forgot to put that on here. Shipped, Postmates, and all of these other gig economy options. So keep in mind, there's a boatload of people that have lost their jobs and they have now jumped into the gig economy world where they're doing gigs for the day in order to make some money. So you could be that person that helps them keep their lights on and keeps water coming out of their faucet because you're giving them a job or you're hiring them to do some stuff for you. So if you place the orders and you want somebody just to run through and go pick them all up for you, again, consider hiring, using these sources to be able to do that. That is an option. You can order online, do in-store pickup or delivery if they have delivery available to them. And again, sourcing everywhere means don't overlook like the CVS's and the Walgreens, and don't overlook, I've already mentioned Walmart and Target, but don't overlook your Dollar Trees, your Best Buys, your home improvement stores, your pet stores, your automotive stores. Like, don't overlook all of these other stores, specialty stores, food specialty stores like your Sprouts and your Trader Joe's. Like, don't overlook all of these options. And so you could place orders on some of them, but not all of them, and have it delivered. You could, if you decide you don't want to handle all that inventory in your house, we are not recommending at this time doing Amazon FBA. We're not. We have not been recommending Amazon FBA since March. So we recommend that you do merchant fulfilled or seller fulfilled, which is what we mentioned in session 1. So because of that, if you don't want to handle all that inventory, you don't want that in your house, you don't want to mess with it, you don't want to cap, then you need to go ahead and establish an account with a prep center and outsource that. So you can acquire the inventory, stick it in a box and send it to a prep center and let them deal with it. As long as you have it listed, and we'll talk about the scan and list method here in a second, but you could do that so that way you don't have to touch the inventory. You minimize your touching and handling and having your house cluttered if you don't want your house cluttered. You can hire a personal shopper, a permanent personal shopper. So you just place your orders or you do the research online and you send them out to go buy the stuff if you don't want to touch it, okay? Wearing a mask, wearing a gloves, using hand sanitizer, sanitizing your items. We use a concoction that I've made, which includes dishwashing soap, Everclear, and vinegar. And that's our spray combination that we use, or we put it on a towel and we wipe things down so that way it's, our stuff is covered. If you don't want to worry about that, don't worry about it. And then I recommend that if you're concerned about COVID-19, you can put these items in a separate part of your trunk. There are trunk dividers where you can put it in a separate part of your trunk if you don't want it in your back seat. That way you keep as much of your own personal life sanitized and you don't have you minimize cross-contamination. The other thing is that you can leave things out for a period of time if it's doable, if it's possible, without touching it. So you can put it in your garage if you want to. There's some options. Anything else you want to add to that, Renata?
Just that you've mentioned a few times about the fulfillment centers. I'll make sure that I put at least a few of the ones that we recommend into the next few slides so that if anyone wants to go ahead and get their account set up, they'll be able to get that done.
There you go. All right, so we recommend, this is your action item. So last week, our action item was to take something that you already had in your house and to actually scan it. And we talked through everything on the scanning app, like we walked through it all. We told you all of the stuff. So go back and look at that one if you don't remember it. But once you scan something, then we want to list it. So this is the scan and list method. If you're out in the stores and you're scanning, Then you can click on the list button if it comes up. If you don't get the little request, and if it actually comes up at the bottom, click on the list button at the lower right hand side. And then once you click on it, then you're going to come to a second page. And that's now the first thing, sorry, I'm on the seller fulfilled. I am not on the Amazon fulfilled. So there's two tabs from training number 1. We showed you the Amazon fulfilled, and we showed you the seller fulfilled from training number 1. So I am actually on the seller fulfilled in this example. You can see here that there's Amazon is not on the listing. We have 3 FBA sellers and 3 offers. So, and you can see what the profit proceeds are, blah, blah, blah. So once I click on list, I'm going to come to a second page. And on the second page, it has the product details. We're not changing any of that, because what we're doing is we're piggybacking off of an existing listing. That is what this is called, piggybacking off of an existing listing. You want to set or indicate what the condition is. And then after you indicate the condition, if I go to the next slide over here, you'll see that the price is up at the top. Again, you would scroll down and the price, this would all be on one page. So image number 2 and image number 3 would actually be on one page. You just scroll up and down to get to that. And then when you get to the seller fulfilled, what you're going to do is you're going to click on radio button number 1. It says, I want to ship this item myself to the customer when it sells. Radio button number 1. I want to ship this item to myself to the customer. And once you choose that radio button that you're going to ship it yourself, and before I say that, if you have a SKU process, SKU method, SKU strategy, you want to put that in here. If you don't, you can go back into your Amazon back office when you get home and enter your SKU information if you don't have anything set. But in any case, so radio button number 1, and then you want to click continue. Once you click on continue, then you'll go ahead and hit submit. So you're basically choosing seller fulfilled, you're clicking list, you're entering your price that you want to sell it for. You don't have to list it for the low price. We talked about that last week, that you can choose the price that you want to sell it for. And if you have multiple quantities, you can list the quantities, or if you just want to put in one for now, you have it in your cart, you will find that sometimes before you even leave the store, the item has already sold. So if it sells while you're walking through the aisles, I go back to that aisle and go grab whatever's left and put those in my cart too, update my quantity, and keep it moving, keep pushing, keep pushing. So I'm going to hit submit on this listing. You're going to notice it says, congratulations, your item is listed or whatever. And that is the scan and list method. So if you're out in the stores, you're doing retail arbitrage, scan and list the item immediately if you find something that's profitable that you're willing to put in your cart. And I always go after smaller items so that I can manage and mitigate my shipping. I always make sure that as I'm going through this process regarding shipping, that I have a shipping cost and or shipping idea already in mind. Even though my pictures, I just noticed they're all Amazon fulfilled. It's okay. We're doing the seller fulfilled. And so you want to make sure that you choose radio button number 1.
Yeah, and I was going to say that when you're doing the scan and list method, it's really important that you actually set it up as merchant fulfill so that
Yes.
it becomes available to people for people to see in the Amazon catalog right away. If you should happen to say, well, you know what, this is not something I think I'm going to fulfill myself. If you have an opportunity to sell it right away, you want to go ahead and set it up for merchant fulfill. I'm going to ship this item myself, and then change it later on, because in the time that it takes you to list it, and the time it takes you to send it in to Amazon, and the time it takes to sell that item.
Yeah, you could have already sold it. And so that's a big deal, because you would not believe the story after story of items immediately selling, because that does happen quite often for some people. Okay, so we have creating a listing. So we will share that with you. It's another document that we want to share, and it will walk you through if you're creating a listing from scratch, if you're not going to piggyback off of the listing. But there are some key things that we want you to keep in mind if you're going to create a listing. So make sure the title is so important when you create the listing. Kind of look at what the titles are for the items if you're selling a similar item that's already out there. So let's say we're selling spray bottles and there's already a boatload of spray bottles, and you probably want to look at like the first 10 spray bottles that come up organically, because if they come up organically, that means that they're already in the top. Those are they're showing in the order in which they have the best sales rank. That is the one thing that Amazon does when you're going to the Amazon buying app and you're using that to do some research, is the order in which it shows it. The one with the lowest rank is always first. The one with the second lowest rank is always second. Third lowest rank is third. So they show you in the order. So look at the bottles, look at the titles that were used on those, get some ideas, but also use the keywords in which people are using to search for this item. Look at the listings before you begin the process of creating your listing. And if you're not really sure, you can go to Title Builder and you can use that. A lot of people use Title Builder for eBay. You can use aspects of title. You want to rebuild the title, but some starting points to go with if you use Title Builder to do the research. Then the next thing is, if you're going to, don't overlook the opportunity to use long tail keywords. Again, if that's how people are searching for something, then you definitely, so if they're looking for spray bottle versus just spray or just bottle, then that's considered a long tail. Anything that's more than one word is considered a long tail keyword. Make sure that you take amazing pictures. And if you're going to borrow the pictures from off the internet, then make sure you resize them to the state in which whatever the size they need to be, and or just make sure you take really good pictures, especially if you're doing bundles. And then the first couple of photos, you need to make sure that if you are selling something that is very similar to somebody else's, and it's going to look just like everybody else's listing, there are things that you can do to make your listing look a little bit different and stand out a little bit more. So again, if there's an alternate picture that may be the better feature picture, then use that to help your picture stand out a little bit more compared to everybody else's. But again, most people are buying, over 54% of purchases are through a mobile device. So make sure that the picture is big and it doesn't have that much white space and it's full of color, because those are things that are going to pop off of a mobile device. Okay. And then you do a boatload of keyword research. Make sure you populate all the backend fields, search fields, subject matter, intended use, all that other stuff. And unless it is absolutely necessary, if people are looking for a specific name brand, so a name brand would be, people are looking for Nike tennis shoes. Okay. If you're approved to sell Nike, that's awesome. They're looking for Nike tennis shoes. So they're going to search with Nike men's tennis shoes and Nike women's running shoes or whatever. But if somebody is just looking for, I don't know, a spray bottle, they're not looking for a name brand of the spray bottle. So the name brand should not be in the first 5 words of the title of the bottle. So make sure that, again, where it makes sense, use the name brand only when it makes sense. If they are not looking for that specific name brand, again, you have to ask yourself, when I'm buying a spray bottle, am I looking for a specific name brand spray bottle, or am I just looking for a spray bottle that I can put some water in and some solution and spray? So think about it, how you're going to use it, and whether or not that's the way in which people are searching for it. And then don't overlook, when you create a listing, you have to populate the weight and the dimension. That's going to automatically affect your shipping and your shipping credits, especially if you're doing merchant fulfilled. So make sure you put the correct information in there so that your shipping estimates are correct. Anything else, Renata, you can think of?
Nope, you got this one covered. You got lots of information on the slide.
Okay. All right, so I'll let Renata take this one.
So once you actually get an order, you're going to, depending on how you have it set up, you're going to get a notification that you have an order to be shipped. So this is always a great time for us as sellers. You get your notification, you're ready to actually collect your money. You can't get that until the item is shipped. So once you have done that, you'll either get a notification on your mobile phone if you have it set up that way, or you can always check your back office on Seller Central. You're going to go to manage orders in order to pull up what the order that was sold in your account, and you're going to ship it or mark it as shipped by the deadline. And that's always generated by Amazon. They go through quite a bit of information to figure out when it should actually be shipped so that it gets there on time. And so that's very important that you get that done so that you can protect your metrics. Things to remember when you're actually shipping the order is that you're always going to provide a tracking number. Very important for the customers that they know where their item is. You want to manage your delivery times. Amazon actually gives an estimated delivery time to buyers on the front end. So you've got to see that when someone bought this, they bought it either from you or whatever seller, if they got the buy box or whatever. Amazon gave them a time at the time they placed the order. So they want to know that that estimated delivery time is actually from the minute they place it until that order is delivered. So you want to make sure that when you're actually shipping this order, that you allow yourself time. In other words, if they bought it and you know that you're going to ship it priority because it's seller fulfilled prime, you need to make sure that you ship it out on that day so that it gets there in time. You don't have until that second day to get it out. So you want to make sure that you actually manage your delivery times, and then you want to set up your return instructions and confirm your return address in case a buyer needs to send something back. You want to make sure that you actually received it. And above all else, no matter how you ship this stuff out, again, we're going to recommend a fulfillment center whenever possible, but you want to make sure that you're always complying with the Amazon terms of service, because they have some very specific requirements around shipping and shipping time. So you want to make sure that you go into the back office and read all those, but you want to make sure that everything that you're doing on this end when you're fulfilling the orders complies with what Amazon has given you as instructions. Lots of things to remember. So an easy way to make sure that you hit all those points is simply to fulfill your orders through Seller Central whenever possible, instead of using an outside shipping application or website. You can do that by using Amazon's Buy Shipping, and that's right there on the order. When you're in Manage Orders, you're going to be able to buy your shipping labels. You can do that either one at a time. If you've got a number of orders on the same day or around the same time, you can actually buy those in bulk, and that in that same area you're going to ship and confirm your orders, and that's going to allow you to be able to track your shipments. Using Amazon's Buy Shipping feature ensures that your products are delivered to the customers using their network. So it's a trusted network, a network that Amazon trusts, network of shipping carriers. They only use FedEx, UPS, or USPS, and it protects your seller metrics. So you want to make sure that if you go through the Amazon seller app to get your shipping, that you have all that information available to you at your fingertips. If a seller wants to know where's the item or how long it's going to take or when did it ship, you'll be able to go directly to the item number or the order number and pull that information up, as opposed to if it resides on a separate website or in a different repository. So just good information to know. Go ahead. Once you have gotten the item all ready to ship, you want to make sure that it's packed correctly. So we wanted to make sure we at least provided some tips for how to pack it. You don't want to get a box or a container for the item that's way too big, because it'll move around too much and possibly damage the item. Even if it's just, the outside packaging, you want your item to arrive in good shape and intact. So if you get a container that's just a little bit larger than the item that you're shipping, you'll be able to cushion it just by putting some bubble wrap around the sides or some packing paper around the sides, just to keep it from shifting around. So you'll be able to actually wrap it up in paper, foam, or packing peanuts, just to make sure that it doesn't have a lot of shifting space. When you get ready to tape it up, you want to use clear or brown packaging tape, especially if you're using a brown package, that's okay. And then you want to make sure that it's reinforced or paper tape, which is going to be a lot harder to rip or to come off of the box or container that you're shipping it in. All of this tape should be at least 2 inches wide to make sure that it's covering the seams. If you're shipping a heavier item, I always recommend 3-inch tape, just because you want to make sure that that box is securely, or whatever container you're shipping it in, is securely closed. You're going to tape the opening of the box as well as all of the seams and the edges. You don't want, if it's a heavier item, you don't want it falling on the edge and then ripping the edge open. And you're going to clearly label it. And if you got an Amazon label, it'll clearly have your return address on there as well as the shipping address. And if you're reusing a box, Amazon has some very specific terms in the seller agreement, but you just want to make sure that if you are reusing a shipping box, one of the reasons I save all of my Amazon boxes is so I have a variety of sizes that I can ship things in. And as an Amazon customer, it just feels good to see the smiley face package when it comes to your doorstep. But if you are reusing a box that was used before, you want to make sure that your label covers up the previous address label, so none of that's showing, and that if there were any previous markings as far as barcodes or anything like that, you can just make a single line through that so that it can't be scanned. Just a few tips for packaging, but very important that your item gets there intact and in good condition.
All right. So we hope that this information has been helpful. We covered a lot in session one, and we covered a lot in session two. We actually went about an hour and a half in session one. So we did an amazing job on session two. But the thing that I do want to let you know is that there are a boatload of retail arbitrageurs who have actually scaled their business. I mean, they are making a lot of money. And some of the strategies that they use, we're going to talk about them right now. So the first one is that the very first thing that I talked about in the first session, part one, they work a real work schedule, and they build a schedule. They have a plan for what they're going to do every single day. They know which days they're sourcing. They know how much they're sourcing. They know where they're sourcing. They've already done the product research. They're looking at their calendars. They know what they want to buy. They know what's coming in season. So they're sourcing for 2 or 3 months in advance sometimes, because they know that they need to have their inventory ready to go or listed or cleaned up or ready to be, cataloged so that they can ship it to customers. Sometimes they're using prep centers. Sometimes they have their own warehouse. So again, people that are scaling and making big bucks, and when I'm talking about big bucks, we're talking about people that are getting payments from Amazon anywhere from 5, 10, 15, 25, $30,000 every 2 weeks in payouts from Amazon. And a lot of them are doing retail arbitrage. Now, can you, again, do retail arbitrage on any other platform? Absolutely. So if you find something that is selling amazingly and you can't sell it on Amazon because you're restricted or what other issues that you come up with, if it is moving like crazy on Amazon, then you have to know that it will be moving on eBay, or it'll be moving on the Facebook Marketplace. It'll be moving on some of these other platforms as well. So don't overlook that. That is what those that are making, getting a lot of money, making $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 a month in e-commerce in profits. That is what they are doing. They are always buying, and they're also taking advantage of what's happening right now, unfortunately, with a bunch of businesses going out of business. They're consistent. They pay attention to the trends. And again, they build a real calendar so they know what to source and when. And then they outsource to helpers. They hire helpers, or they outsource aspects of their business. Because again, one person doing all that retail arbitrage, they'd be shopping all day long. But if they could build a team or build a partnership of a few people, they actually can get more done. And then they pay those people an hourly wage, and they keep the majority of the profits for themselves. So again, they're also very organized. They try to make sure that their inventory is organized in such a way that they can find it when that item sells. So you can outsource to a prep center, or you can decide that you're going to do this yourself. And if you have kids at home, oh my gosh, this is that window to get your kids started in e-commerce. This is a great way to get them started. This is a great time to get them started. If you are comfortable with them touching inventory, they can do the cataloging for you. They can do the shipments for you. They could clean up the inventory when you acquire it from the store if it has labels on it. They could do those things. If you're going to create listings, they could be taking the pictures. So look at all of those opportunities. Explore all those opportunities. If you don't want to spend any money hiring, but you have your kids at home, then keep them busy. That will keep them busy all day long. Get them excited about when things sell and the fact that they get to ship something out now. They do invest. When they first start off, they're investing anywhere from 3 to 6 months of the first amount of income that they get back into the business so they can scale. So that they're not pulling money out for a period of time when they first start. And then at that point, they have a standard operating procedure that they go through. So again, they've built a plan around their business and how they operate, how much inventory they acquire every single week and or every single month, how much money they're spending every single week and every single month. These are the habits that they display. So again, you starting off fresh, new, you're not going to be at this level. But with consistency and over time, you can get there. So these are things you need to be thinking about if retail arbitrage is going to be your thing. You need to know that this is a hard hustle. This is a hard hustle. It's going to require activity. So if you like moving, if you like going out and sourcing, if you like picking up inventory, if you like packaging inventory, then that's great for you. But if that is not your jam, and this is not the way you want to go, then maybe retail arbitrage is what you start with and you transition to something else. You sprinkle in a little bit of print on demand. You sprinkle in something else. You start looking at white label or private label. You start looking at drop shipping and you kind of sprinkle in the two of them combined. But I can tell you right now, a lot of the people that I know that have been doing retail arbitrage, they are experiencing Q4 numbers. They have been experiencing Q4 numbers since the end of March, and it has been ridiculous for them. And they hustle hard. They're working in their business to the late hours, early morning. They're going out there sourcing, they're acquiring inventory because everything is moving right now. So again, it is possible to scale your business significantly with retail arbitrage, even on Amazon. So I would also recommend that you gradually increase your investment that you're making. So if you decide, okay, every single month I'm going to invest $5,000 in acquiring inventory. I'm not saying that you just start with today. As you scale over time, you keep scaling and scaling, you maybe get to a point where maybe I'm investing $1,000, then this month I'm going to invest $1,200, and then next month $1,460, and you get up to a place where you're investing, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 a month into your inventory. So you have to spend that money. You have to spend $5,000 to get back the return of whatever it happens to be, whether it's $10,000, $15,000, $20,000. So just keep that in mind. That and there are going to be times where you're not going to spend that much. Like I do a great job with bundles, so I could buy a bundle set that maybe I spent anywhere from $7 to $9, and I turn around and I flip it for 45 or 60. So again, that profit margin is completely different. So I don't have to spend $5,000 every month. Maybe I'm just spending $1,000. But you figure out your strategy and your approach. But the only way you're going to get to what is going to be my long-term strategy, what is going to be my long-term approach, is to practice having a consistent schedule and be consistent in your business and make sure that you're always following that schedule. So going through your schedule, implementing and executing your schedule is extremely important. You can also sell in niches. Again, that's another way to get going and keep going. So maybe you want to specialize in specialty foods. And so you're going to hit up Sprouts and Trader Joe's and any other health food store on a regular basis that might sell things that maybe are not being sold at Whole Foods. And maybe it's unique to that specific store brand. And so you decide you want to sell it. Again, that's another opportunity for you. So, stick to a niche. Maybe you're doing sugar-free. Who knows? Maybe you're doing something else. Maybe you're selling pet supplies. I don't know. But think about niches. And then the ways in which you can buy below wholesale, coupons, rebates, cashback sales, clearance, going out of business. Always be in the know. So again, if you're going to bring on staff or if you're going to outsource to a resource that we listed earlier, then make sure that you're always checking these things at least every week, if not, twice a week. Put it as an action activity on your schedule that you built. And then buy and hold. So I love the buy and hold because a lot of times you can buy things below wholesale. I mentioned earlier that there's a bunch of stuff that's in the Walmart right now. The summer stuff that's going on clearance, that's already on clearance. So if it's already on clearance and you could buy it dirt cheap, you can list it as seller fulfilled, but you can also hold some of that until next year. A lot of the Easter stuff, you can still buy Easter stuff, believe it or not. You can buy Mother's Day and Father's Day. They put that stuff on clearance. Mother's Day is going to happen again next year. As long as the aliens don't come and invade the planet, we're good. The killer hornets, what do they call them? The killer bees, whatever they are, don't take over. So as long as none of that happens, then we're going to have another Mother's Day next year unless we get hit by an asteroid. So I'm just saying, these are things that are going to happen year over year as long as the Lord has not come.
You really shouldn't make light of the murder hornets.
Okay, I won't make light of the murder hornets, but the aliens are coming. So
kids over here that are deathly afraid of the murder hornets.
Oh my goodness! All right. Well, they coming. So with that being said, also make sure you're learning the store's pattern. With consistency, some of this stuff will become second nature. You will learn when they start putting out back to school. You will learn when the stores traditionally, we're not talking about COVID-19 times, traditionally start putting stuff on clearance. You will learn when they start getting specific inventory in-house. You will learn that, oh, okay, on the day of Easter or the day before Easter, they start putting Easter stuff on clearance. And then the day of Easter, they put a bunch of stuff on clearance. And then the next day it's like 50 or 75% off. Like it's crazy the stuff that you learn. So that means that you can buy all your Easter stuff for next year at below wholesale. That's what you want. Buy it below wholesale. Don't buy it at the price that you can get it for right now. Same thing with back to school. They start marking stuff down. Not everything, because they know they're going to use it next year because back to school always happens. But the point is, there's some things that they will start to mark down and you can get for a lower price or below wholesale. So,
and we mentioned last week about how important it was to actually establish those relationships with the managers in the stores as well as the employees, but do not be afraid to open your mouth and ask. So if you don't know when the markdowns are happening, as you're checking out, you know, you're getting a couple of items, you ask them, so when are the markdowns for Easter going to happen? When are the markdowns? When is the stuff being marked down? I'd like to come back and pick up some more items. But you start establishing those relationships by asking questions. You will never have a great relationship with a store manager if you don't ever introduce yourself or ask the questions that are going to show them that you are serious about buying.
yeah, because a lot of the stores, they actually get paid bonuses based off of what their sales percentages are. So if they know like Five Below, if they know that you're going to come in and clear out like 20 boxes off their shelves, oh, they love you. They'll call you first. So they don't even have to put it out. Like that saves my staff a whole bunch of time. I don't even have to put it out. I just call Nicole. She come pick it up. So I'm just saying, these are all opportunities for you. Same thing with the Dollar Tree. Again, they're excited when you come and clear the shelf for them. So look at those opportunities. Make sure that you build a real work schedule and go from there. We covered so much today. We covered a lot. So we covered a lot last week. We covered retail arbitrage strategies. We gave you a lot of strategies to look at. We covered the restricted categories and brands, sales rank, sourcing, scan and list, listing, how to list items. You know, we covered a lot of listing last week, but we covered some, let's get the quick listing going. We talked about shipping and how to scale your business. So my question to you is, what questions do you have for us? And was this information helpful? If it was helpful, let us know in the chat or let us know in the comments that this was helpful to you. And what questions do you have? Do you have are there things that we didn't cover that you want to know a little bit more about? Let us know, because we definitely want to know what your questions are. And we want to know if this was a blessing to you and your business, because our goal is always to be a blessing to people, to help people to make progress in their business and to move their business forward. So let us know in the comments or put it in the chat how you feel about this and what questions you have, so we can try to make sure that we address those questions and go from there.
And don't forget to mention, we actually have a Q&A. If you're a member of the eCom Sellers Academy, we have Q&A every Tuesday night, and that's starting up at 9:30. So you can jump right off of here and over to the Q&A session if you've got additional questions as well.
Right. And the becoming a member Academy is $17.99 a month, and that includes all of the workshops. So next week is the online arbitrage workshop. And so if you become an Academy member, you'll get the online workshop and any other workshops that we do in the Academy absolutely free. So I hope this was a blessing to you. I hope this was helpful to you in your business. Again, my name is Nicole Whitlock.
My name is Renata Darden.
That is Miss Renata Darden. So yeah, join the Academy. And we will see you again next week. We do the training every Tuesday live. And goodbye for now.
Thanks for joining us.